it's weird for me to feel like I might have been stalling this entry, and I'm not sure why. And the only thing I can really that I can really come to the conclusion of is that it's not, for me at least, the greatest kickoff for Phase 5. So, this new film in the MCU, the third Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, came out a couple of weeks ago. I went to go see it opening weekend, and I haven't sat down to talk about it yet. For me, I feel like that has something to do with my sort of lack of enthusiasm of trying to talk relatively positive about this film. Not saying that it's bad. It's definitely not top 10 in, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But it's also definitely not what we want, I'm going to say, or what we sort of are needing at this point. Because really what this is this is a filler movie that's introducing the main villain of, I'm guessing, the next two phases, which is Kang. So you spent a whole first phase, or the whole fourth phase, I should say, or the first phase of this new generation. You spent that whole phase kind of maybe wrapping up some loose ends and introducing some new people. I've talked about this on more than one occasion on all the other Marvel entries I've done. I'll post them all for each. I'll post the name of each entry in the description of this one, so you can go and find that entry if you want to hear my opinion on any of those other things. But simply put, everything in Phase 4 it essentially feels like filler. It essentially feels like all the same things I've been saying. Their torch passing, their foundation building, their character introductions. All Quantumania is a character introduction to Kang, while still letting us know, hey, Ant-Man's sort of still here. And it doesn't end how I thought it might have ended, which was maybe with Ant-Man kind of dying in the name of humanity in some way. And it definitely was not 100% what I was expecting when it came to it sort of introducing this whole lived-in other realm, the quantum realm, and all of these microscopic civilizations that sort of live there. It's very much a lot to take in, with, I feel, a lack of substance to the extent that we sort of need right now. Like, all this really does is give you an introduction to Kang. It gives you who Kang is, and it shows you what you should be expecting out of him as a character. That's it. That's really all this film is here for. And I don't care what anybody really has to say. There's a lot of plot holes for anything else that this has to do with. All this is they tried to make it make sense and introduce Kang. Now, this isn't even the Kang we are, I guess, expecting in a way. This is a completely sort of different Kang, because all the other Kang variants don't like this one, and that's what they're trying to portray as. Now, I don't know much about Kang the Conqueror. All I know is this one Kang is meant to be the Kang the Conqueror variant. Then all the other variants that you get introduced to later on in the film, which I don't mind spoiling because I don't think anybody really cares, all those other Kangs are like, okay, he is now gone, now we can sort of rise up. So was he really the good guy, portraying himself as the bad guy? It's really strange, that plot hole, and the idea that now Kang the Conqueror is not involved, but all these other Kangs are involved, and which ones are they? It's not what you were expecting. You're almost expecting there to be this sense of that if Kang was to be destroyed, there should have been an ultimate sacrifice on Ant-Man's part, where he then passes it on to his daughter, who I'm guessing we're going to call Ant-Woman? I don't know, because you have the three of them who all now can utilize the Ant-Man suits. Is this also a torch passing for her? I mean, they even recasted her, which was also a weird turn of events, because the actual actress who played the daughter is of the same age, and it kind of would keep the continuity. Like, they don't really change an actor in the MCU unless they absolutely have to. Case in point, Don Cheadle, Mark Ruffalo, like all of those made sense. This one kind of doesn't. So you kind of get this new feeling when it comes to his daughter changing in a way. But then again, the other movies didn't really focus on the daughter, so she doesn't really get involved in much. But that recasting, a little weird. All the stuff that has to do with Michelle Pfeiffer's character doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. It kind of is missing its mark because you're trying to talk about this idea of her escaping the quantum realm, and the quantum realm being this like no man's land of like cowboys and aliens. Yet she was more than happy sending Scott into the quantum realm to gather up particles to learn time travel at the end of Ant-Man and the Wasp, which led into him being stuck in the quantum realm and finding his way back 5 years later to save the world in Endgame. Can we make that make sense to me? Because it's just weird how she's more than happy to then, but now all of a sudden she doesn't want to talk about it. Nobody can go back to it. There's something missing there. There's a certain level of storytelling that's missing from us trying to make that make sense. And maybe they just thought people would not think of it like that, but they have to understand we're not dumb. Like, you know that we see that and we go, this doesn't make actual sense. This is a plot hole. A lot of what you see in the quantum realm is a huge plot hole because you start to learn all these different things, and it's just what I will give it credit for is that it really is nonstop from start to finish. Like, there's maybe 10 minutes of this film where they're in the real world, I guess you can say, and then they learn about the quantum realm communicator that the daughter's building, and then all of a sudden they get sucked into the quantum realm. This is all within 15 minutes of the beginning of the film. So they spend 90 minutes at least in the quantum realm. So the entire film is just all taking place in this sort of... I think my wife turned to me in the middle of watching it and she was like, this looks like Star Wars. I was like, yeah, you know what? You're right. Like, it just seems like they're trying too hard to utilize all of the special effects and not do much with anything else because they think all the special effects and all the visuals are going to be what really sells it. And then here's Kang. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense, and it's a disappointment. We're in Phase 5. We've dealt with everything else you've tossed to us, and now here we are in Phase 5. This is meant to be the beginning of us changing our minds about what you're possibly doing with this series. What are you doing with the multiverse saga, if you will? That's what the next 3 phases are. We had the Infinity Saga. Now we're in the multiverse saga. And you had 6 films and 6 TV shows to do something with Phase 4. And a lot of people aren't really that happy with Phase 4. I have mixed feelings about Phase 4. And here we are, Phase 5. Really highly anticipated movie. And it's not talked about enough. It's not worth talking about. This isn't worth sitting down and really focusing on because, again, maybe it's just my opinion, but to me, all this is a filler film that is an introduction to who the big bad guy is going to be, hence Kang. That's all this does. It introduces Kang, and that's it. You can't start a phase like that. You can't just sit here with a highly anticipated film, start off a brand new phase after the shit show that a lot of people feel like you gave us, and still continue this same pattern. It's just not... It's not feeling worth it anymore. It's not feeling like there is something that's in this that I'm willing to kind of say is going to lead into something else that's sort of worth it. You know what I'm saying? Like, now we have to wait till Guardians of the Galaxy comes out this summer for something else to make sense. And truthfully, I'm thinking the same thing about Guardians of the Galaxy that comes out in like June or July or something. I'm thinking the same thing, that this is meant to be their final quote-unquote film, and most of the Guardians are all going to die in that film. It just feels like this sort of last ride for them. And that's what I was sort of getting from Quantumania, that I thought this was going to be Ant-Man's last ride to sort of ease his character out of the picture, ease Wasp a little bit more into the picture, and then ease his daughter into the picture. Again, torch passing, new light, new characters, trying to do something. Now we just have 3 characters that all have the same suits and the same essential powers, and no substance in a film that's basically introducing a villain that's meant to be the concluded all bad big baddie of this series, and you kill him. And you killed him. And now we have this whole other phase of things that are happening. And are there any shows that are coming out in between this to kind of give us more? What I will say is that it is nice what they did when it came to the second end credit scene, where they sort of introduced a little scene from the new season of Loki. So Loki season 2 is meant to be coming out at some point in time, though I don't know 100% when it's coming out. I want to say, hold on, let me look it up. No, it just says mid 2023. And then the only other thing is Secret Invasion that says early 2023. Like, what the fuck is that? Where is the pattern? Where is anything that's meant to give me So I literally have to wait like 3 months for anything else right now, which is Guardians of the Galaxy. So I'm stuck with Quantumania. That's left a bad taste in my mouth. And you're not going to give me anything else. So hopefully you push for Secret Invasion sooner than later. And maybe that'll give me a little bit more substance or a little bit more anything. Make things make sense. Make things connect in some way. Because I'm starting to get really upset that nothing's connecting and you're just dishing out nonsense shit that's supposed to mean something eventually, and it's just not. Like, where's Moon Knight? Is Moon Knight coming to anything? Is that was just a standalone thing that doesn't make sense to anybody else? What's going to happen with that whole ending of She-Hulk, that nonchalant ending of introducing the Hulk's son? When is that going to matter? Are the Eternals coming back at any point in time? Is anybody else mentioning what happened in the Eternals? Like, this whole almost end of the world Titan came out of the earth and nobody's talked about it since? Like, it's really getting frustrating, and I don't know how many other things I can say positive about the MCU right now, because it's that number of things is dwindling lower and lower, and I don't know how else to put it besides you need to do better, or you need to start giving us more answers and stop leading us along. Because unless this leads into something really huge where I'm going to sit down and I'm going to go, oh great, it took 6 movies, no, by that time it took 10 movies, 10 TV shows, and now it makes sense. Like, at least when you were doing it in phases the first time, it was 3 movies, 4 movies, bam, you got a movie, everything connected and made sense. And then you had this other underlining factor that connected with everybody. Maybe it's just that I'm not a huge Marvel fan, so I don't know a lot of other things that might be connecting, but I knew the Infinity Stones, and everything about the Infinity Stones connected right in my head right off the bat. I was right there with it. But now, nothing's connecting to me. I have zero connection with anything that you're doing, and I'm a person who's into the universe, sort of. So even with my rudimentary knowledge, you're not hitting it for me. So imagine the fan who only watches this content, is only watching these movies, only watching these shows, doesn't know anything from any source material. Do you think you're hitting? I'm going to say no.